I am live. I am waiting for Scott, and I better get over here and mute this thing real quick. As soon as it shows me some controls, there we go. So I've got both open. I won't really be able to monitor uh, much of anything that goes on in the chat. I don't think. I guess the StreamYard chat and the. Wait a moment. Have I been doing something dumb? More than likely. No, it shows up. Yeah, I can see the chat from where I'm at. Waiting for Scott. Scott will probably be here. If not, it'll just be me talking about my current project, which is getting this in. Yeah, thanks. Thank you for figuring that out for me. That I wanted it landscape mode instead of. There we go. I've had that actually distort things when you shift it. It'll do a proportion. And it'll be like, well, no, wait a second. The proportion should have stayed the same, but I guess not. And I'm just doing tone right now on something I've already done the line work on. I may have started this last week. I probably did. Uh, got it pretty readable. That's all I'm after here is it kind of a quick read, and I'm happy with it the moment I feel like it's communicated its thing. Kind of like some of my striations I got going up here. It's kind of Kirby-esque. The next one is going to get a totally different style upheaval, which might not look good in a comic book for the same artist to do. Maybe two styles, maybe three styles. I don't know what I'll end up doing. We'll see if I get fed up with the other one I try to do as much as I got fed up with this one I'm doing. Because it's like you can't continue to redo something. You just got to say at one point, okay, you are doing whatever you're doing. And this is true in gosh about everything that gets budgeted to do it with teams. Now comic books are different. I could go back and redo this as many times as I wanted until I was happy with it. And but I don't think I'm getting happy with anything on this as a project for a couple of reasons. It's a comic book that it will get the job done or not as just storytelling. And I've already done, like Hitchcock, the moment he had done all the script revisions, done all his storyboards, he kind of hated to do the filming of his projects. And you can see why that would be. It's like I've written the script, I've done the rough pencils, and that's really the heart of why there is such a thing as the that assembly line Marvel way of doing things, or the comic book way of doing things. Typically, that you've got someone in the loop that has done all he wants to do on the dumb little thing. He's done the pencils. He's Kirby. He's done the pencils. Now find him a good inker or face Kirby's wrath. I don't know how often he gave him a piece of his wrath, because I've seen examples where they decided Kirby hadn't done a good enough job and redrawn what he did. So I don't guess he got very wrathful with him very often, but he probably tried to you know manipulate things to where he got an inker he was happy with, I'm sure. But a little indie comic like this, where you are you're saying, okay, I'm doing all of it. You've scripted it. You're going to do all the rough work. And unless you're doing something that's kind of like webtoon level, which this isn't, this isn't much above webtoon level, but it's trying to, I'm trying to do something that looks like it was kind of halfway thought through. There he is. Now we can have conversations. Here we go. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Are you
Okay.
still? Looks like you're working on your last page.
No, this is. I have 6 left. This is 5 of 6. After I finish this, I'll have 4 more pages.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So
I thought we'd given people some sort of heads up last time that you were working on your last page.
I
Guess
think I was. I think it was my last page of pencils last time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm inking tonight.
Okay.
I'm on the inking. I've done the last 6 pages, and so I'm inking. I got this page inked the other day. Yesterday, I guess I finished it the day before yesterday or whatever.
Very cool.
And I got this one to finish, and I got a stack of pencils here. So how are you doing, Ellis?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I had a good time. The park was pretty empty today. I always like that. It gets a
The
little
weather
rough.
was nice.
Huh?
The weather was nice.
Yeah, the weather was nice if you gave it a chance. Yeah. I think a
Yeah.
lot of
Well, it
people.
depends on what time you went.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I'm
Are
going to
we getting
see.
cold tonight?
Yes. I
Okay.
think. Well, I don't know if it's going to get cold tonight or starting cold, but or maybe roll in tomorrow night.
Okay.
But it's coming. Okay, sorry, I got all my electronic stuff sorted out. And I
Okay.
have my headphones on, so hopefully we won't have sound problems tonight.
I hear you loud and clear. Doesn't sound like you're gaining or doing anything weird and popping.
I think what I was doing last week was I didn't have my headphones on, and so my phone was picking up your voice and thinking I was talking, so it was cutting your voice out. You know what
Huh.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because when I put them on last week, that seemed to help. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. You come up with. It's weird though. The you're talking about stuff that goes into taking a hack at figuring out why things are doing what. And it is so weird how much a guy, through a little bit of trial and error, he comes up with these weird, accurate decisions on how to behave around his software. I found this
Yeah.
with 3D software all the time. You had to say, okay, watch it, or it'll crash when you do this.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Drawing software is notorious for that.
Yeah.
We had a Photoshop update at work, and the artist quickly discovered that when you did, I think it was a zoom in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a marquee zoom. When you
Mm-hmm.
did a marquee zoom, it would crash,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, you do that all the time. It's like it's like a navigation thing. How do
Yeah.
you even
It's
avoid that?
yeah.
But they fixed it pretty quick, I think, or they fixed it at least. But at work we're on the Photoshop cloud, which I'm not a fan of, by the way.
Oh
Just
no, no. It'd be. I mean, it's so obvious that it's just a way to
oh,
constantly get $1 million a month. Basically, it's all it.
exactly. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm old, man. When it comes to, and I'm not a luddite or a technophobe or anything like that. I mean, I've got, you know, but I just hate. I don't know. I hate when the hardware gets so complicated,
Yeah.
and to me, that's complicated because to me, especially here at the house, I use CS2, and I use it because I own it. And as long as I have a computer with CS2, I'll be able to open all those files.
Right.
Whereas if I had, the cloud here,
Yeah.
If I didn't have a subscription, I wouldn't be able to open those files.
Yep.
And I just hate that. But I have said, I don't know if I've told you this, but I have said that in my opinion, well, I mean, and people argue this if anybody's listening to this or whatever, but I feel like the best era for technology, certainly in terms of like consumer technology, was like in the late 80s, about the time that you had cell phones and email, but maybe still dial up, you
Hmm.
know. Just because I feel like the mass. Well, first off, I feel
You feel
like,
like it got a little too many people were using it or whatever.
well, not necessarily that. I mean, because that sounds a little.
Well, yeah,
Um,
that sounds like you're anti-democratization of it, which I
no,
am
no. I'm
kind of.
not. Well, no, no, no. What I feel like is I feel like it became too invasive in our personal lives.
Yeah,
Technology did,
sure.
and I mean, like you go places. I mean, you can't hardly go to a restaurant anymore where all the servers are not on their phone constantly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I
You
imagine it.
know,
I imagine it drives all sorts of fields crazy, like trying to get an actor to focus, say, and
oh yeah.
he's got things that really are of interest to him beyond what he's up to.
It's kind of like, isn't it Tarantino that doesn't allow phones on set? Or I've
Probably
heard several
doesn't.
directors.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't if you were.
No, it'd
Yeah,
be like,
you
look,
wouldn't want.
we're
Boy, I tell you what. Yeah, can you imagine what that would set off if it was verboten to have it and somebody's dial tone went off in the big middle of an intense acting situation, someone mourning over a dead kid or something like that, saying I was kind of in the
uh,
zone on that, and
oh, imagine what
ding,
James
ding,
Dean
ding.
would have done. James Dean
Huh.
would have knifed him.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to have to do that kind of stuff over again.
No, no, no. Well, and you get worked up for it, and
Yeah,
it's just so moment. But it 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 bothers me on just a human being level that I see people that are just so. I mean, I don't care, but I've the last 6 months. Oh, I've had occasion to not have my phone for large amounts of time. For example, I had jury duty, and you realize how much it's just a habit. It's like
oh
smoking
yeah.
cigarette. You just let me look at my phone, and you look at it, and I don't.
It changes your brain. For that day, your
Yes.
brain is going to feel different on the day that you didn't go social media crazy. Yep.
Oh, I would quit it all in a heartbeat if I could, but I don't feel like I can because there are people that but and I feel like social media has been harmful for society.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you'd argue with me on that.
Nah.
And
No, no.
and it
It's
just
definitely something that if we do get a what do they call it, an EMP
oh
what
my gosh, people commit
EMP
suicide.
attack. Of course, that would kill us all on a lot of other levels. But
Right? Yeah.
doing the social media, if it could selectively just kill the social media, we'd be fine.
Oh yeah. The well, and I I had a break. Oh, I guess it was Memorial Day. I took kind of a couple days off to work on art and stuff. And I literally was like, I didn't even look at my phone. I got off, and I told people, don't text me, don't call, I'm not gonna be available. And it really it took me a while to get used to it. But once I did, and then I went back to it, and someone texted me, I was just pissed. It's like, why are they bothering
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
And I think that that's more like your natural inclination is to
yeah,
not want
yeah,
people, or at least mine, not to want people to bother you. But yet
yeah.
you get something out of that social media buzz or whatever that it doesn't bother you like it naturally should.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I've always been a kid that, even as a kid, I was like, don't I didn't like being bothered. I didn't like being interrupted when I was doing stuff. I still hate it to this day. I think it drives my wife crazy, but I don't like being bothered. I don't like being bugged, and it was so bad when I was a kid that my grandmother told me one time. My grandmother made cakes, but she would decorate cakes. Again, this was the '70s, nothing like stuff now, but she would decorate cakes, and so she would bake us cakes every year for our birthday and decorate them. And she said, "I'm gonna make your cake." We'll say, "Don't bug me," because that's always telling her, "Don't bug me. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm doing because I'm the kind of person, if I get in my little zone or whatever, I don't like to be interrupted.
Sure.
And
Hey,
I'm yeah.
Farmer Dan is on the chat. He asked a question.
Oh,
He hasn't watched my Earthworm Jim video, and he wonders if it's worthwhile. The only way to watch it is to watch it the maximum that YouTube allows you to speed it up. That's what I'm doing. I'm actually real time sharing my reading of it. I'm not reading aloud or anything. You're just over my shoulder as I read it.
Oh, Ellis, that's not very entertaining.
I know it's not, but it's like, whatever.
It's
not my bandwidth.
That's funny you say it because that's exactly. It's like it's not my job to entertain you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Farmer Dan. No, I do a podcast by myself,
Sure.
my solo podcast. And last week I didn't feel good. I didn't do it, and I was like, I'm gonna miss this week. It's like, oh well.
Yeah. Well, and, this sort of thing is like optional. But somebody, I don't know what Farmer Dan is up to. Maybe he's doing something, listening to this while he's doing something else. That's
probably. Yeah, I think so. And he said that he's new to social media. I think that I would do it. I hate Twitter. I have a Twitter, but it only reposts from my Instagram.
Yeah, that's where I see your Instagram at. Yeah.
Right. I have an Instagram only because it's easy, and I feel like it's a good way to promote my art. And you can't, the way it's built, you can't really run into trouble, I guess is what I'm, because it doesn't really allow some of the stuff like on Twitter and stuff.
Doesn't allow you to get editorial or something like that.
It's not built for that back and forth like Twitter seems to be.
Yeah.
It's generally for. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the Twitter, the whole concept was, however many characters that used to be, and then they changed it, and it's like, wait a moment, you just allowed people to get that much wordier. That wasn't the point of Twitter. The point of Twitter was to get it all said within this minuscule little soundbite.
Right.
And now you got people that do threads, and it goes on and on.
Yeah, I don't. And there's always somebody that'll argue with you, and they're wearing and their icon is like a monkey or something, and it's like, who cares what you think?
Yeah.
That's her thing. I really don't care what other people.
The whole Comicsgate thing is based on Twitter. It wouldn't exist were it not for how Twitter is built. Yeah.
And even like on Facebook, I'll comment on one of my friends' posts about something, and then one of their friends will argue, and I'm just like, okay, you're right. I don't care. I got other things to worry about.
Yeah, that's the thing. I listen to Scott Adams all the time, and he is always making me kind of like mad when he comes up with something that gives me that cognitive dissonance. That's one of his favorite terms. But at the same time, he acts like he's above all that. And then it's so funny. He'll go off just like anybody else in terms of like, no, that's not the way it is, kind of thing. Yeah. without realizing he's
doing what he was.
He's reduced himself to the usual, even though he acts like he's above the usual fray.
I'm on Facebook, but it's mostly because of like friends and relatives. I don't really care for Facebook because I don't know.
I'm off of Facebook. I can be proud of that.
I would be if I were you. I'd be off Facebook too. But I have other things.
I could get killed on Facebook.
Well, yeah.
Well, and it's all.
I like.
It seems to have some sort of extra special dimension to it that the others don't. I don't know what it is.
I
It's
like
just
Tumblr. You know, the
Tumblr.
thing I liked the most was when I was doing a blog,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't feel like I got a lot of views. But I don't know. I, I checked out a book from the library recently called "Making Six Figures a Year with Your Blog," and I'm going to read it. But I think the problem was it was written about 10 years ago, so
Yeah, exactly.
it may be outdated. But I'm going to read it when we're on vacation,
Hey,
or
how
I'm
about that?
sorry, on a work trip.
Someone
So
says they
next Wednesday.
listen. Go ahead.
Oh, I was to say, so next Wednesday I'm going to New York City.
Cool.
My wife told me I can't tell people we're spending the weekend in New York because that sounds pretentious. Yeah, but
Nice.
it's true. Well, you know, then
Is it one of those things where you're getting to go on her company's dime, kind of?
yes, her professional organization. My wife is a member of the Illuminating Engineering Society. My wife is an electrical engineer. She's way too smart for me, but she she's going to they're having some kind of meeting. A planning session she's going to, and we went every quarter they meet and they plan stuff, and it's always some different places. But the last one of the year, so this is technically the last one of last year, I think, but or maybe it's the first one. But anyway, the one at the end of the year is always in New York because that's where the headquarters are. So when I went to the headquarters at this building, it's down on Wall Street. It's a real impressive building, and they just rent offices in there. But the
Uh-huh.
first time I went, I had to go, and I was meeting Michelle. This was last year in October, and so Michelle, I knew where it was at, and so Michelle said, "Come to the building and meet me at the." I was because I was at the comic convention. She said, "Meet me, at the headquarters or whatever." So okay, I'll do that. And so I went up there, and there was a guard at the front desk, and I had to stop and give him my name, and I told him, "Oh, my name is Scott Sackett," and he goes, "There's a big black guy," and he goes, "Like the Louis L'Amour books?" And I go, "Yeah, exactly like that." And so we got to talking about that, and so he thought that was cool, and we talked a little bit about the Louis L'Amour books, which I'd all read when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Oh, Louis L'Amour. I
and
need to revisit him. I'm about to run out of PG Woodhouse. I'll go back to him. Yeah, go
gotcha.
ahead. Go ahead.
But so that was in October last year. Well, the annual meeting was in December, so we go back, and, and literally I go to the same building, and the guard sees me, and he goes, "Mr. Sackett," and waves me on back,
I'll be
which I thought was
damned. How
pretty
about that?
cool. I thought
Yeah,
it was pretty
you
cool,
know, I mean, you
a
gotta
couple
just,
months later, yeah.
you gotta
Guy,
just.
who knows how many guys that guy runs
Well,
into,
you
but
remembered him too, so it wasn't any sort of
I
thing
definitely
to
remembered him.
remember each other.
Yeah. Well, and we talked for a while about the books and stuff. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But and I think what's funnier is I think Michelle was with me the second time, but she wasn't the first. And so I think the guy said something to me when I left, but she didn't really pick up on it.
Uh
And so when that guy waved me on, she was like, "What?"
huh.
It kind of surprised her. Oh, hang on. Farmer Dan is Farmer Dan. I'm usually drawing when I listen to this. Good. I'm usually drawing when I'm posting this. Had to get Twitter. Had to get Twitter back to post for drawn and quartered. I hate having it back. My advice would be don't post anything except what you have to. I have one that reposts my Instagram stuff. Listen to Tortor podcast. Hadn't seen since I was a kid. I remember following. I guess I shouldn't revisit it.
Oh yeah, all
It
our
was a it was a
reviews
it
said
was a it was a movie.
yeah. Well,
No, it wasn't terrible. It
well,
wasn't
no. If you're
terrible,
a
was
history
it?
buff, you probably could really dig it. I think the
I think
highlight for me was thinking that might be a real moment when that woman pilot instructor said, "I'm taking over now," when she saw all those Japanese zeros.
Oh yeah.
And that was to me the best part. I mean, that if they'd had more entertaining moments like that, but you can't insert if you're going to try to be kind of like this historical thing. You can't insert too
No.
much
Yeah, you
stuff.
no, no, because it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
I mean
That's it.
yeah, you can't make up stuff if you're
Yeah,
going to try. You got to decide: are you going to be Pearl Harbor, or are you
yeah.
going to be the
Tora
longest
Tora.
day or whatever?
Yeah,
Tora Tora. I didn't think it was terrible. It just was a little dry.
yeah.
Know what
Well,
you're
like I
getting
say, that
into.
that one event where they stuck papers in that one valise over and over again. It's like, well,
Oh yeah, that one. The
we're
poor guy
yeah,
kept sticking paperwork in his briefcase
that was his job.
to put papers in briefcase.
Well, and they were making a point that communications were going on that could have prevented a lot of death
Yeah,
that didn't
yeah.
happen.
I think you're right there. That was the point. Is hey, this whole thing could have been avoided if
Yeah,
somebody would just open the briefcase.
we could have just splatted the Japanese
Yeah.
if they'd shown up and we were the least bit prepared.
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, there you hear all this stuff. Well, it was on purpose. Da, da, da. Then if we'd have been prepared at all, there wouldn't have been.
Oh yeah,
Heck, they could if they'd have just moved the ships out of Battleship Row, it would have been a different scenario.
yeah. I mean
You know.
all the logistics that has to go on. I mean, those guys were operating on the absolute edge of what they could do every time they get in the air, because it came in waves. They had the logistics all
Oh
figured
yeah.
out. Who gets in the air when, and they've got to be headed back just the moment they do their thing. Otherwise, they're going to have to land in Hawaii. You know.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
they had a couple that went down. I think, if I remember reading the extra trivia about it, is that they did capture a couple.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they shot
Yeah.
a couple of down.
I got in more. That reminds me. I was a victim of crime.
Oh, what happened to you?
I got an Amazon package stolen off my front porch.
Porch pirates, man. That's our
Yeah,
biggest plague of the our society right now. People,
until
I
they make
guess,
it a
I guess people can't resist
capital.
it. What?
I don't get it. I do not get it. I swear it's like the same thing that made you want to buy the cereal to get the prize.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
exactly what's going on. People are saying, now, what
I
could that be?
I think it was kids.
Oh, you think?
I don't have a camera, but Amazon brought something to my house, and it was Amazon, not one of the shipping companies. And they sent me a photo, and when they sent me the photo, I go, I hope that doesn't get stolen. And sure enough, I got home and it wasn't there. I was not surprised because their photo was from the street, and you could see it propped up next to my front door. And it was like,
Yeah,
you can hide a package on my porch super easy. Farmer Dan, I had two big columns on either side of my porch. You could hide a package easy. I have two chairs. They could have put it in one of the chairs.
yeah.
Nope, it was propped up next to the front door. And so I called and complained, and I said, "Look, I've told them don't prop it against my front door. Put it behind a column." And they refunded my money.
Cool.
The girl on the phone goes, I'm looking at the picture, and yeah, it's right. I said the picture's from the street, and you can see it plainly. I said,
Hmm.
and she goes, yeah, they shouldn't have done that.
So,
You know.
I don't. We don't need the details of what you got, but was it a big loss? I mean, was it something you instantly said, "I
No,
wish I still had that"?
no, because I got another one today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that Amazon Prime deal. Yeah. Oh,
Well, it
I
was. I tell you what, of
yeah.
all the things I could have lost, it was probably one of the least priced and the easiest replaced. I bought some lights for my chair project.
Oh, okay. So it's like Christmas light kind of things.
Yes, they're what they call rain lights or meteorite lights. They come down. It's 8 tubes. that have LEDs, and they kind of come down in sequence.
Mhm. So it's got like all the
I'm gonna
lighting
mount
that
them
was
in.
in Eyes Wide Shut.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'll say yes, but I don't know
No,
for
no,
sure.
but yours have an animation to them, right?
Yes, the it's a tube. Imagine a tube about the size of a those old silver magic markers,
Sure.
or about Sharpie. Think about Sharpie. That's about
Hmm.
how thick it is. A tube that is, I think it's 12 inches long, and it's got a row of 33 LEDs, and they light up in sequence one at a time, so it looks like they're falling. When you look at it, it looks like the light is falling.
Yeah. It's the
And
old
so I'm gonna
neon
mount them in my
animation effect.
chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's LED, but yeah,
Well, that's cool.
yeah. So it looks like it
You
would be
are.
cool in the.
It's cool that you're duplicating. You're basically building your own kind of like soothing kind of reflection isolation chamber thing, and that's
I'm calling it the sensory enhancement chair.
there we go.
The
You
okay
never know
for
what kind of
the
ideas
listeners.
might be a great writing tool.
Do
It might be a great
I
writing
think it?
tool.
I think it'll be. It's cool to sit in. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not done by a long shot. So for the listeners, there's a museum in Oklahoma City called Factory Obscura, and it is related to. It's kind of a sister museum of Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, which is the museum started by or funded by George R. R. Martin, and it's basically a collaborative space where artists get together and they create this kind of interactive experience. So the one in Oklahoma City in the gift shop has this chair that you sit in. You kind of collapse into it, and it completely envelopes your body. I don't think I'm saying that right. Envelops your body,
Envelops. Yeah, there you go.
but you sit in it, and it's got lights. It's got some lights, and it's got some foliage, and it's got nature sounds, and they call it the pod chair. And Ellis and I went there, and I thought that was so cool. I told the girl, I go, I want to build one of these at my house, and she goes, yeah, everybody says that, and I thought, yeah, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've been working on it for a little bit now. I had to find. I didn't want to build a chair from scratch. I didn't want to build. So I found what I found is I found a wicker chair that is kind of like a clamshell thing, and so or imagine like a half shell. So when you sit in it, it's like a half egg basically. When you sit in it, it goes above your head and it's real high. Well, then what I did is I got limbs and I extended the wicker and made it where it's got a canopy that comes out around your head, and so you sit in it a little bit more. And then what I did is I got some black fabric and I enclosed the top portion just to make it light tight. And I put lights in it. I found a couple different. I found some LED lights. Well, it's all LED lights. There's around the perimeter. I put a strip of LED lights that are made for like a car neon system that I happened to see at Walmart on the clearance aisle for $4. And they can change. You can make them any color. It's just a strip of LEDs. You make them any color. There are different patterns they can do, and that kind of goes around the perimeter. And then up at the top, I put some LED, what they call wire lights. So it's not like Christmas lights, but they're like lights kind of in a wire. And I put those in there. And then today I got those tube lights. And then on the outside, I bought some leaves. I bought 1,000 leaves that are fall colors. So they're orange and red and yellow and brown. And I am hot gluing those to the outside. And I'm going to cover the entire outer with it. So when you see it, it'll look like a big mass of leaves. And that'll probably be the most work intensive part of it. So I haven't done that part yet. I've done some of it. It goes pretty quick, really. And then on the inside, I'm going to get some leaves, some green leaves, and put on the inside. My idea was I want to look dead on the outside and alive on the inside, like spring or something. And ultimately, I figured out a way to put nature sounds in there, just like the one at Factory Obscura. I decided if I'm going to do it, I'd have to install some sort of speaker system. But anyway,
I'm sorry, I disappeared for a little bit to go get a fan. I was burning up in here.
Oh yeah,
too much heater reacting to whatever's going on outdoors. But I heard most of it. So
I gotcha. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of project I'm doing. Projects. My room. I've got a new footprint from my room from moving stuff around, so that's good. It's
really
it's much better now. Well, I didn't change a whole lot, but I put that TV that was sitting on something. I used a wall mount. It was only $24, and when it arrived, it was one of those things where I'm not even sure it was Prime. It said this has been used or has been opened or whatever. And it's lucky I've already done one because there was no instructions in it.
Oh, geez.
And it was like one of these things where, well, would I be smart just to send this on back? And it's like, nah, heck, it's exactly what I need. There's no reason to get picky about it. I can use it. So
where did you have? Where was the TV that you mounted? Where was it before? Was it in your bedroom or in your?
Well, yeah, I've got two of them. I've got one mounted in the living room. One in the bedroom was on basically a shelf that used to be a headbed or whatever you call that. Headboard. Yeah, headboard. And
oh, gotcha.
I got it. It's it's painted some ghastly blue gray, and it's just something I stored a bunch of stuff in. And now it's got an actual use as a real shelf because I pulled it out from everything. That allowed me to shift everything out of the way. And now I've got just a lot more room to move around in here. It's pretty cool.
Farmer Dan said, I think it's Farmer Dan. Yeah, Farmer Dan said, what a great friend. Doesn't tell you can't hear you yet you've been talking for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had been talking for a couple minutes, maybe, or a minute, maybe. But obviously you're passing on stuff to people, and I kind of already know it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you'll see the finished product.
Yeah, I'll
eventually.
see the finished product.
My goal is to have it done.
I've always wanted to go for at least one of those, and I've got the itch to see this movie again someday. Altered States. I really dig that movie. Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen it. No, and when I was a kid, I remember the commercials, and it made a huge impression on me.
Yeah. Oh, the commercials were great. I remember that about it. The commercials for that, and I ought to see if I can find the trailers that just blew my mind when I saw them for From Beyond, which was the what's H.P. Lovecraft's story, the movie of the one he did after Reanimator. It's my favorite.
Oh, really?
I prefer watching From Beyond. If I had to rewatch a movie of his, it'd be From Beyond.
I think Lovecraft was one of those guys that he wasn't a great writer, but he was a great idea guy.
Yeah.
His concepts were so out there, but he didn't have the skill to follow through on them or the training or whatever it would take to get him there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
His writings.
He's one of those guys. I guess he was in that. Was he in the little group that? I think he just barely brushed it and was dead by that point. But the group that Robert's the Block was in, and a couple others that were always contributing to Weird Tales. There was
No,
a
I think he was before that. I don't think he was a. I don't think Lovecraft was ever in Weird Tales.
okay, okay. I thought he was,
I
maybe
don't think
not.
he got that. I don't
Yeah,
think. No,
I
I
think
don't
you're
think he
right. I think he's
was.
well dead by then, huh? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He. The person that was famous that I know that he corresponded with was Robert Howard,
Yeah, Robert. Yeah, yeah.
who
That's true. But
really
you
didn't.
know,
And
Howard was in Weird Tales.
Howard was in Weird Tales,
I'm pretty
but
sure of
Howard
that.
lived longer, I
Yeah,
think. No, no, no. Howard was definitely in Weird Tales.
yeah. Let me see.
Howard was a be-
Let's see when.
Howard was a better writer.
I'm just going to type in H.P. Lovecraft Weird Tales and see what they give me. See if he did
I don't.
anything.
I don't. Farmer Dan asks, "Is Lovecraft even adaptable?" There was a movie. What was the movie that
From
Barry lent me that
Beyond,
movie that somebody?
Reanimator.
No, no, no. It was a low budget thing. It was.
Well,
I think it's Call of Cthulhu. There was an adaptation
yeah,
of.
Mountains of Madness.
I don't know.
Everybody's
I
always
mean,
going to him for stuff.
well, that's because he's got good ideas, but he just and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read a lot of his stuff, so sorry, I lost
Let's
my ink
see.
pen.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm on something that says, well, too much information.
Did you find contradictory information, or as I call it, fake news?
Well, it dates back to 1923. Weird Tales. Blah blah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I
it
don't
says
think he was ever in it.
printed early work. It says of H.P. Lovecraft. So basically, the
Oh, it
magazine
did.
was
Okay.
around from the time he started printing. I imagine it caught a lot of what he did, actually.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I think I'm misremembering. I think he may have been in Weird Tales, but I don't think Weird Tales was very big when he was in it. I don't think
Well,
he got
yeah,
paid
it was
much.
just one of oh man, when you look at the old magazine racks of the day, it's like your options were just glorious in terms of like what you could pick up. And I was thinking about it today.
Oh
Someone was
yeah,
mentioning something really gruesome. Oh, he's probably about old the guy
yeah.
that got hit, Suleimani. And they used to. And back when I was a kid, I used to go to newsstands in downtown Oklahoma, and they had stuff that was basically forensic photos of
Oh yeah.
murder victims and stuff like
Ouija,
that. And it was just a
Ouija.
certain kind of pulp magazine that you could pick up that I don't know if they were considered adult or not, but you could page through them, see all the crimes of passion that
But
had
did you
occurred.
page? Did you page through them, Ellis?
Oh, I looked at a couple of, well, I only saw like one or two of them during my visits, but when they're there, you you say, hey, can I get to
Yeah.
that and have a look
Hey,
at it?
pass me the magazine.
Yeah.
Hey, kid, this ain't no library.
Yep, exactly. No, that's where I saw most of my. Well, probably I saw most of my Frazettas at one particular drugstore that was between my home and the junior high I went to. I saw all those great Lancer.
When you say Frazette, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's when I was first being introduced to the idea he existed. Was seeing him uh, on paperback covers, Lancer paperback covers.
Oh yeah, like the Lancer clans and
And
stuff.
then they reissued all of the EC stuff in paperback form, the Autumn People, and several other things. This was a pretty big deal, pretty big publishing event that occurred. All those paperbacks came out. That it's like this shall not die. I mean, people saying, "Hey,
Oh
you
yeah.
you kids missed it." It's just like putting out all the Universal horror movies for a totally different generation, and that was a huge success. It's like, yeah, we get all these
Yeah.
crummy horror movies. Let's do them on TV, and you couldn't have
Yeah.
been couldn't have had a
What they
smarter
call that?
move.
There was a name for that.
Yeah, there was that.
Universal put together a package. Was it the Universal Horror Pack? Something that affiliates would get like in the 50s. I was
Yeah,
reading about that not too long ago.
yep,
Because that's where all these horror hosts came from.
yep, yep.
You know, they were
Our own
hosting
Count
that. By the
Gregor.
way, if you on Prime, a great documentary is called Vampira and Me, which is based off a book about that's called the same name, and it's about Vampira, who was the vampire girl
Mm-hmm.
horror host out in L.A. But
In
that
Plan
book
9
is
from Outer
great.
Space is her big role.
Yep, she was in Plan 9 from Outer Space. Absolutely.
Her and Gregory Walcott. I
have
wonder
never
if she tried to
seen
get
that.
her friend Jimmy Dean to get a role in it. Wouldn't that have been funny?
I think
To
he
get
was dead
hooked
by
up
then.
with. Oh, he was. You think?
What year Plan 9 come out?
Let's
It was
see.
late 50s, wasn't it?
Plan 9. Plan 9.
Because I believe James Dean died in 54.
Plan 9 from. Do I have to type in that much more?
Yes, they will. The predicted text will not recognize that.
Came out in 1959. So when did James Dean die?
I think it was 54. It's early 54, 53.
You're probably right.
I think he died in 54.
Date of death 55. Yep.
Oh, 55. Okay.
Yep. You were a big James Dean fan. I am too. He has some sort of, I mean, when you get somebody that puts it over in a big way, what are you looking at? You're looking at a master kind of, it's what you want from propaganda, basically. It's the guy that puts it over, And so, you saw that guy, and I saw where Pete Townsend of The Who made a comment about Dean. He was talking about his own ugly looks. He says, he's frustrated and he cursed and he said, I wanted to be effing James Dean. He's talking about his early, why he formed a band. He wanted to be an appealing thing. We all want that. And that appeal, it's like in art, there is some sort of thing about beauty. If it's missing, we say to ourselves, well, keep working. To the artist, basically.
Move on.
I mean, but man, we also react to it when we see an actor that we don't resonate with. We say, why does he think he can be in movies? And yet we ought to.
How can he be?
We ought to react to it as like, well, this guy, he's a good type, and you can react to that kind. Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course, he was just a great actor, but at the same time, he could be
Walter Matthau.
Yes, exactly. There are these types that you see where you might ordinarily react to a guy saying, why does he think he wants to be in movies? He's not a matinee idol. No, he's just a perfect actor for exactly what he's up to,
You can that line of thought, I think, confuses the role of an actor with the role of it says all actors have to be like these heartthrobs.
Yeah.
And that's certainly an easy way, but there is a craft to acting.
Oh yeah. I mean, no. The moment you get a guy that really always brings the goods, and it's like that dumb joke where they haul in Charlton Heston in that what was that Mike Myers movie? Where have you ever seen that? Where Mike Myers is in the role of his goofy character he used to do for Saturday Night Live. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Wayne's World?
Wayne's World, yeah, Wayne's World. Have you ever seen that? Where he says, "Can we
I've
get
seen
a
the
better?
first one.
Can we get a better actor?" This poor guy. He gives him a critique right on the spot, and all of a sudden, Heston is dragged in and inserted in exactly the same costumes. Like they had him right handy. He could be
He was in the
brought
wings.
And then the big joke is that tears actually stream from Meyer's eyes at the end of the performance.
Yeah, I think that. Well, a couple observations about what we've been talking about.
Okay.
A lot of what we see in society now, I think, is the exact reaction, like you said, like Pete Townsend had.
Yeah.
I can't be this, so I'm. But instead, what we see as this is in my opinion. I feel as a society we have kind of like turned our back on this idea of aesthetics and beauty and in some ways truth and and there are people that just live to make stuff that's ugly.
Yes. Well. Yeah, but they only get so far. Yeah.
Well, formerly. Now what's happened is I think society has come to embrace some of that. For example, whoever thought that some of the models that we now see that are models would ever be models,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they're trying to.
And some of that's marketing.
Yeah.
That's marketing.
That's what I was going to say is that people are trying to do a little mind control, but there's only so much of it that works.
Your eyes, as long as your eyes still work.
If you get some lumpy girl that just didn't win the lottery on looks, you can't do anything with her that persuades anybody that she's a great little package of beauty.
Well, I think your justification has to be more the targeted something different.
Well, I say that as a guy that's definitely not pointing the camera at himself. I'm sitting here, with the camera pointed at my art for a reason. Nah. Plus the fact that I had to. It got hot in here. I had to. I'm right now in my boxer shorts and my shower sandals.
Please do not point the camera at yourself.
Do not point the camera at you. Yeah, if I fall over backwards
and
the camera follows me, I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, turn off the automatic my security cam updates to YouTube or whatever it was doing.
Yeah. That's right. Wayne's World 2. So that Farmer Dan says Wayne's World 2. Walter Brennan was a heartthrob. No, he wasn't. Walter Brennan was always a character actor. Yep. Even though he was in, he did a great job as hanging Judge Parker opposite a true heartthrob of was it the guy that was in the movie about World War One, where he empties a trench all by himself. What was the name of that?
I don't know.
One of our first biggest heroes. Doggone it. I'll just look.
Audie Murphy?
Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper.
Oh.
Yeah, Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan were playing against each other back when Walter Brennan was actually a slender guy, probably trying to be a little more of a movie star than he ever became. I tell you what, those guys that figured it out that I'm a character actor, and they became the solid guy you go to for bits, for types. Those are the guys that.
Oh, absolutely.
Sergeant York, Gary Cooper, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That came from Farmer Dan. I
I
was
figured
rem-
it had. I figured it had. I haven't looked at my thing, but I figured it had. So, another thing is, you mentioned that I've been a big James Dean fan for a long time. Ever since when I was a kid, and I saw Rebel Without a Cause on TV, and I thought he was cool. And then a little bit later, I think it was right at the time I was going into art college. My wife and I went somewhere, and I bought a book. At the time, I probably had half a dozen books tops at the time. But I bought a book. I bought a biography of James Dean called James Dean, Mutant King. I
uh-huh.
forget the writer, but the title appealed to me because I grew up reading the X-Men, and so I was like, "What is this?" It
Yeah.
caught my eye, and
Yeah,
I
it's one of
bought
the
it and I read it, and I thought it was really cool. I mean, I have two copies of it now because I couldn't find my copy one day, so I bought a copy off of Amazon, and now I have two copies floating around here.
well,
Um,
obviously somebody that writes a book on somebody has got an avid interest and the idea of bringing research into something, and all of a sudden you know all these things. Of course, that's how.
well,
Uh,
the the nice thing about that book was it was written, I think, in the mid '70s, so a lot of Dean's contemporaries are still around.
mm-hmm.
Now I think anything that comes out about certain people, especially a guy like James Dean who never married, never had kids, you have to kind of look at it with a little bit of suspicion of, what did the contemporaries say, you
Yeah.
know, um,
Well, that's the deal.
which, but
Brando made his impact, and everybody agrees he's, like the greatest. But before that, every actor wanted to be James Dean. And Brando
oh
was
yeah,
coming up at pretty much the same time. There would have been a dueling uh, thing going on for exactly who is the best actor here. He would have,
oh well, and James Dean took a lot of heat for being, a knockoff of Brando because On the Waterfront had come out
oh,
at that
really? I
point,
didn't
I
know that. I didn't know
believe.
that.
Brando was big because James Dean was accused of copying him.
Huh.
Yeah, but
Well,
he's a different actor.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think. I mean, because and Brando was a good actor, but he seemed to be more. There was something that James Dean had that Brando was missing, but there was something that Brando had that James Dean was missing too. I think they were different, even though at the time they were certainly cast in the same kind of roles.
Yeah, I think Brando went quicker to a kind of depth with, with not necessarily greater ease, but just a little more authenticity. I mean, when he got mad and
Well,
when he got when he got a real deep passion going, that's when you got your Brando at like doing things that ordinary actors don't pull off quite as well.
to be fair, James Dean did die, so
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
that
Died
made
when
it
he was
tougher to
doing
get
like
too many.
parts that he had parts that were coming, no doubt. That would have
Yeah,
really.
he was supposed to play. Um, when he died, I think his next project was going to be a movie called "Somebody Up There Likes Me." It was the biography of Rocky Marciano or whatever the
Yeah,
boxer's name
Rocky
is.
Marciano. That went to Newman.
Marciano. There,
I've seen the movie.
yeah, he went to Paul Newman.
Yeah,
I've seen the movie, and when I watch, I was trying to imagine what James Dean would have been like in that.
yeah,
But supposedly James Dean was very interested in directing, and some people think that he had too much of a hand in the direction of Rebel Without a Cause. That can't what's his name? I can't pronounce it. The director, Eli Kazan.
Eli
He
Elia
deferred to.
Kazan, but he didn't direct that. I think that was Man. Man directed Rebel Without a Cause, didn't he? Michael Mann or not Michael Mann?
No, not Michael
The
Mann.
guy that did Johnny Guitar. Let me see. James Dean Wikipedia. Oh man, they're showing the traffic wreck scenes of James Dean's car.
Oh
They
yeah.
piled it up. You know who he was
Oh
driving with,
man.
don't you?
Somebody Rudolph something or another.
I believe
German
he's the guy.
mechanic.
He's the grim-looking guy.
Oh,
The dude.
Kazan directed East of Eden. Okay. Uh, the I got a book around here about Rebel Without a Cause, and I've read that people feel that Dean influenced too much, or whoever the director was. It was
Well, he directed some groovy stuff. Here we go. Rebel Without a Cause. Let me click on this. It ever
but
opens.
I have a bunch of books about James Dean, and he kept when he was on, I think it may have been Rebel Without a Cause. He kept a book of notes with direction and that sort of stuff on it. Like a director might.
Uh-huh.
And so and supposedly he would tell people that he was interested in directing, and there was some interview where he said that while he liked acting, what he really wanted to do is direct.
Well,
Which to me,
Brando gave it a shot. He have you ever seen One Eyed Jacks?
uh,
Nah, it's worthwhile. It's fun.
I don't, I think directing would be a tough thing to do.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Excuse me.
No, the only people that do it well have got a special kind of like thing in their brains. They had a thing I read one time about the guys that made the best directors. Were a lot
Oh
of them
yeah.
came from this one little section of Russia. They were a
Oh yeah.
certain kind of Jew that came over here, and it was just amazing. Statistically, you had to say there's something genetically different about these people that got thrust into this role, and it was all about what their brains could handle and organize and keep track of. They were just
Oh yeah.
organization masters.
Oh, I think being a director would be it. It would be cool in some aspects, but man, talk about keeping organized.
Yeah.
I at my work I deal with some of that kind of stuff. I mean, not directing, but I'm basically a traffic cop in some ways. And man, there are days, it's just like, holy cow. It's like, if I could ditch all this, I would in a heartbeat.
Yep. Nicholas Ray. That's who I'm thinking of.
Nicholas Ray.
I don't know why I was trying to think of Michael Mann.
Yeah, Michael Mann was a lot later, but anyway, I always liked James Dean. You talked about him emoting or whatever. I just thought he was cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think was a lot of his appeal. He kind of had an aloofness and that.
Sure, he's like every friend you ever have, where you say, yeah, we could laugh, we could do some laughing together, and enjoy the same things or whatever.
Yeah.
He just comes across as being, and all these actors. If you've ever been around guys working on their ability to appeal to other people, they understand, what other people like, and it's sad to see somebody get a kind of a codependency where, you've got the guy that the other person is basically being a lapdog to, where it's just somebody where like, that person would cut your throat if you cut their friend, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they don't even know that they're being played half the time, in terms of like being, like they think their company is super valuable to this very popular person.
Oh yeah.
That's a Mean Girls plot right there. Mean Girls. I finally
So
saw that
what'd you do,
movie. It's
Dave?
pretty good,
Oh,
actually.
which movie?
Mean Girls.
Oh, Mean. Oh,
Yeah, I finally saw it. It was pretty good, actually. I guess it launched that actress that's always getting in trouble. The
oh yeah, Lindsay Lohan.
yeah. I'd never seen a thing she did. Elia.
She did that and Herbie Love Bug movie.
Farmer Dan says on the
I'm sure
waterfront,
she.
it's more enjoyable to watch than East of Eden. Yeah, I got to agree with that. I've only watched East of Eden once, and it kills me. It's got one of my favorite weirdo actors in it, uh, Timothy Carey, and the only thing that is great about Timothy Carey is how he delivers a line, and they dub him. It's like, what in the world is on your mind? They decided, I guess, Timothy Carey got too weird or overbalanced the scene in some way. After all, you're here with you're on screen with James Dean. You don't want maybe him blowing you out. But yeah, Tim Carey dubbed. Why? You know,
Hang
On
on
the
just a second,
Waterfront
Ellis.
is one of my favorite movies. Yeah, it is a great movie. It's a great ride in terms of like intense emotion. You really get involved with those characters, even if it's not your culture. You get into them.
Hang on just a second, Ellis. I got to switch headphones. These are about to die.
Okay, we're about to wrap it. I think. Yeah, Farmer Dan, thanks for being with us the entire show. I have a memory for worthless information. Can't remember to tie my shoes, but damn it, I know my 20th century pop culture. That's me too. I'm losing uh, short term or whatever. Yeah, I just about went nuts looking for my coffee about 3 hours ago. I set it down. I found it where I set it, but I was pretty sure something had walked off with it. Scott will be back momentarily. There he is. I hear him messing around. Hey, Scott, we've been on an hour and 7, and I'm not on drawn and quartered tonight either, so that's good. They had me on last night. I appreciated it. It was fun. I did a drawing I liked, uh, something something from Lapata, and it's good. It makes you work to be on that show. Are you back in touch yet, Scott? No, he's having to fish something out or somewhere.
Ellis.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I had my iPod or my AirPods in, and I just switched to headphones. So
Well,
I'm
that's all
back.
right. We're about to, I think, wrap it. I mean, we've been on an hour and 8 minutes. You want to?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, Farmer Dan says I gave you a like on something you drew for D&Q. Yeah, you're right. I did. I think I remember that. Yeah, I noticed your name and I said, well, yeah, thanks for drawing
Oh,
along. Yeah, all those
yeah.
guys that draw along on drawn and quartered, they typically beat any effort I do. So it's like, great, another
Hey,
way.
and I'm glad you're enjoying this, Farmer Dan. It's an opportunity. Ellis and I live in the same town, but we don't live that close together. So it's an opportunity to talk to Ellis and see what Ellis is up to. For me, um, you know,
Yeah, how many people do you know that are into comics, and so or into comics in a specific kind of way as someone that's doing them. So
Yeah.
it's a good way. It's a good deal, to get in touch and talk.
Well,
Yeah.
and because of my schedule, we don't have the opportunity to hang out as much as I'd like, or as much as we could. So this is a nice way to hang out. It's kind of
Yep.
easy, you know.
Yep.
But I'm glad that somebody watching it enjoys it, for sure.
Well, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay. We'll see you next time. Wednesday again, I guess. Might as
I will
well.
be in New. Hey, Ellis, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Oh,
be in
you're gone. You're gone, right?
Well, but if I have Wi-Fi and I'm at the hotel, I may shoot you an email. Okay.
Huh. That'd be interesting. Yeah. Well, live from New
So
York.
don't count me out yet. But
Okay.
it's a long shot though.
All
Okay.
right. All right. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Adios.
See you, man.
Adios, Farmer Dan.
Thank you, Farmer Dan. See you, Ellis.
Okay. We'll